Hello, it's Saturday night, and you know what that means. It's time for Sunday School After Dark, which is my brief weekly overview of the International Sunday School lesson. As you can see, I have a special guest with me today. She says she's not a teacher, but she asked to join me. She said that she wants to join me for the class. So, introduce yourself. What's your name?
My name is Peyton.
You gotta sit down.
My name is Peyton.
Peyton. Her name is Peyton.
And
Well, welcome, Peyton.
I also love art.
What'd you say?
I also like art.
It's like art?
I also love art.
Oh, you also love art. Peyton also loves art. Well, let's jump into our lesson for this week, Sunday, July 12th, 2026. And our lesson is titled, Simon Peter, the Restored Disciple. We have 4 passages of scripture. Mark, the 8th chapter, the 27th through the 29th verses. Luke, the 22nd chapter, the 31st through the 34th verses. John, the 18th chapter, the 25th through the 27th verses. And John, the 21st chapter, the 15th through the 17th verses. As a reminder, our theme for the quarter is the testimony of faithful witnesses. And our witness today is Simon Peter. So let's jump into our first passage of scripture, Mark, the 8th chapter, the 27th through the 29th verses. And Jesus went out and his disciples into the towns of Caesarea Philippi. And by the way, he asked his disciples, saying unto them, Whom do men say that I am? And they answered, John the Baptist. But some say Elias, and others one of the prophets. And he saith unto them, But whom say ye that I am? And Peter answereth and saith unto him, Thou art the Christ. So here we see where Jesus takes his disciples to Caesarea Philippi. And Caesarea Philippi is a region that was filled with temples, idols. They were worshiping false gods. And so there were competing claims about who actually had power. Jesus asked the question that was relevant to that time, but also relevant to every one of us as believers. Who do you say that I am? Well, Peter steps forward with courage and clarity. He says, You are the Christ. And this is Peter at his best. Peter is bold and he's insightful. He's spiritually woke and he sees what the others have missed, because they said, some say you are John the Baptist, and they're saying that he's other people. But Peter recognizes Jesus, not just as a teacher, not just as a miracle worker, but Peter recognizes Jesus as the Messiah. And this moment is important because it shows us that Peter's story doesn't begin with failure. We'll see in a moment that Peter has some slip-ups, but his story didn't begin with failure. It began with revelation and faith. It began with a heart that genuinely loves Jesus. So then our next passage of scripture is Luke, the 22nd chapter, the 31st through the 34th verses. And the Lord said, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan hath desired to have you, that he may sift you as wheat. But I have prayed for thee, that thy faith fail not. And when thou art converted, strengthen thy brethren. And he said unto him, Lord, I am ready to go with thee, both into prison and to death. And he said, I tell thee, Peter, the cock shall not crow this day. Before that thou shalt thrice deny that thou knowest me. So here the tone shifts. And Jesus starts out telling Peter, Simon, Simon, Satan has desire to sift you like wheat. Jesus is telling Peter that spiritual pressure is coming. Not because Peter is weak, more because he's valuable. I've heard ministers say before that the enemy doesn't waste time on people who pose no threat. He targets the ones with calling, the ones with influence, the ones who have confessed Christ with conviction. But Jesus doesn't stop at the warning. He tells Peter, but I have prayed for you that your faith may not fail. Notice Jesus does not pray that Peter avoids the test, because the tests are going to come. Jesus prays that Peter survives it. He prays that Peter's faith, though it may bend, he prays that it not break. But Peter is full of confidence, and he responds, Lord, I am ready to go with you to prison and to death. And I believe Peter means it. I think he's sincere. But sincerity is not the same as strength. And Jesus tells him, before the rooster crows, you'll deny me 3 times.
3 times?
Yeah, 3 times. Yeah,
Ooh,
I know.
That's so dangerous.
That is dangerous. Well, let's look at our next passage of scripture, John the 18th chapter, the 25th through the 27th verses. And Simon Peter stood and warmed himself. They said therefore unto him, art not thou also one of his disciples? He denied it and said, I am not. One of the servants of the high priest, being his kinsman, whose ear Peter cut off, said, did not I see thee in the garden with them? Then Peter denied again, and immediately the cock crew. Now we arrive at the moment of collapse. Jesus had been arrested, the disciples have scattered, but Peter follows at a distance, close enough to see, but still far enough away to feel safe. And inside the courtyard, people begin to recognize him. And they're like, you're one of his disciples, aren't you? And Peter says, nope, that ain't me, not me. A second time, didn't I see you with him? And Peter says, nope, I am not. A third time, surely you're one of them. And Peter denies Jesus again. Then the rooster crows. Now, our scripture reading comes from the book of John, and John's gospel doesn't describe Peter's emotions, but other accounts tell us that he wept. He wept severely. And that's the sound of a disciple who knows he has failed. That's the cry of someone who remembers his promise. Remember, he told Jesus, I'll die with you. And then realizes he can't even stand up for Jesus in a courtyard, let alone go with them to the grave. This is Peter at his lowest, not because he didn't love Jesus, but because fear and pressure overwhelmed him. Not because he lacked faith, but more because he lacked courage. But thank the Lord, that's not the end of Peter's story. Let's look at our final passage of scripture, John the 21st chapter, the 15th through the 17th verses. So when they had dined, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me more than these? He saith unto him, Yea, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee. He saith unto him, Feed my lambs. He said to him again the second time, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me? He saith unto him, Yea, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee. He saith unto him, Feed my sheep. He saith unto him the third time, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me? Peter was grieved because he said unto him the third time, Lovest thou me? And he said unto him, Lord, thou knowest all things. Thou knowest that I love thee. Jesus saith unto him, Feed my sheep. So after the resurrection, Jesus meets Peter on the shore of Galilee. And the setting is intentional, and it's important because this is where Peter first began to follow Jesus. This is where he was told to drop his nets. This is where his discipleship began. So to continue to provide a little bit of background, the disciples have been fishing all night and caught nothing until Jesus tells them to cast the net on the right side. And at first they didn't recognize Jesus, but when they did what they were told, they got a huge catch. Now realizing it's the Lord, Peter rushes to him and the disciples share a meal with Jesus. I want to put a pin here and mention restoration often begins in ordinary moments. They don't have to be dramatic. They're just having a simple meal. But then Jesus asked the question, Simon, son of Jonas, do you love me? And he asked it 3 times. And each time Peter answers, yes, Lord, you know I love you. And each time Jesus responds with the calling, feed my lambs, tend my sheep, feed my sheep. Jesus is not trying to shame Peter. I believe he's healing Peter. Peter denied Jesus 3 times, and Jesus gives him the opportunity to affirm him 3 times. It's grace that matches failure 1 for 1. And not only that, Jesus still gives Peter responsibility. He tells him, feed my sheep. Jesus, I believe, is saying, your failure didn't cancel your assignment. Your weakness didn't erase your purpose. I still trust you with my people. So that's my Cliff Notes version of our scripture reading. Here's a few points I got out of today's lesson. Number 1, Jesus knows our limits even when we don't. Peter was so full of confidence when he said he would go with Jesus to prison and even to the grave. He said, I will even die, even unto death. But Jesus knew that Peter would deny him 3 times. And this is the tension of discipleship. We can love Jesus deeply and still underestimate our own weakness. We can truly believe that we're willing to die for him while still struggling to live for him in those difficult moments. And Jesus knows that. He knows our weakness. Peter's story reminds us that Jesus knows our limits even when we don't. And what I liked about Peter's story is that Jesus prayed for him.
But when my favorite part was that sheep calling thingy.
The sheep calling thingy. Where Jesus told him to feed his sheep?
Yeah,
Okay.
when Jesus told him to feed his sheep. That's so hilarious.
You thought that was hilarious? Stop it.
Sorry.
Okay, let me finish. My final points. And it's 2 in 1. Failure does not cancel your assignment because, and my 3rd point, failure is never final when Jesus is involved. Peter's life shows us that our weakness does not erase our purpose. Jesus still trusted Peter with his people, even after Peter had failed. This isn't just forgiveness and healing. It's also restoration and reinstatement. We sometimes hear the cliche that he's a God of second chances, and I'm sure we can all agree. Even when we must experience the consequences of our actions, God is there to pick us up and restore us. Peter's life is a testimony that God not only restores our relationship with him, but he also restores our usefulness. Our failure does not cancel our assignment because failure is never final when Jesus is involved. Well, that concludes my overview of the lesson today. Before we end today, because I do have a special guest with me, so what do you learn? She really was studying this lesson with me today. What did you get out of the lesson? Go ahead, but you got to look at the camera. Hurry.
Okay, everyone. Today's specific word today is you have to be kind, respectful, and you have to be nice to your friends.
Kind, respectful, and nice to your friends. Right. Okay.
And here's
sometimes no, don't look here. Look there. Are you always a good girl? Are you always a good girl?
Well, when I'm getting my hair done, I keep buzzing. But when I ever on the beating part, I always help, but you didn't let me help.
Okay, so so you said that sometimes when you're getting your hair done, you always fuss. But even sometimes when we make mistakes, God will still help us, right? He'll still give us more chances. Our parents, when we make mistakes, they'll still sometimes give us a second chance, right?
And you get to have a prize, but you always don't get prizes.
Okay. Okay. So sometimes even after you make a mistake, you may still get a surprise. You may still get a prize.
And
Wait a minute. Is that the lesson?
hold on. And whenever somebody's being mean to you, just tell anyone.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Peyton, for joining me for Sunday School After Dark. This is only supposed to be 15 minutes, so we're not going to let our special guest push us past our time. But thanks for joining us. I think my special guest is a little bit is a little bit into the camera, and she's lost her focus on the lesson. But that's okay because I'm going to show her some grace and I'll give her a second chance. We'll see if she makes it back next week. God willing, I'll be back next week and I'll see if we.
And Peyton, Nini is a.
Oh, okay. Good night, everybody.
Namaste.
Namaste.